This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I want to welcome you to the new and improved Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast. After many years of interviewing the best and brightest thought leaders around the world on my SiriusXM show, I am excited to now have those interviews available to people around the globe on this podcast. So many people would write us and say, I love what I've been hearing about your interviews with these great people. Where can I access them? I live in this country or that country, or I don't have access to that technology. How can I get the information? Well, I'm so excited now that we are able to offer the information and the interviews free on this podcast. So we want you to sit back and enjoy this message and let me know how you like them. And then do me a favor. If you like them, send a review. Write a review and post it. And if you like it, hit like on here and share it. And tell everybody you know about it. And then subscribe to this podcast so you'll get the alerts when we post a new interview episode. Thank you for listening and enjoy the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast.
Named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world.
Inducted into the Speaker Hall of Fame.
Award-winning singer.
Best-selling author.
And now, here's Willie Jolley.
Hello, everybody. It's a great day. This is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I want to welcome you to the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast. Today's show is a special show to help you grow your success by growing your attitude and your enthusiasm, and how it can have a profound impact on your health, your wealth, and your future. This is going to be a show that is from the archives that is incredibly powerful, featuring myself, Jeffrey Gitomer, the great sales expert, and the great Ed Foreman, the late great Ed Foreman, who was the only man to be elected to Congress from 2 states, and then went on to build a program called the Successful Life Series and Seminar. This is going to be one that changes your life. Before I get it on, let me take a moment to thank our sponsor, Truist Bank. They have been such a powerful and incredible partner. Truist Bank is built on care. And when you start with care, you build a different kind of bank. And then you know I start every show by giving God glory, to take a moment to thank Him for life and strength and health. I am grateful. And I always start every show by taking a moment to thank God. Well, look, we've got to get in this show because there's so much content and we got a lot to pack in a short time. Let's get going with this incredible program from the archives that none of you, because it hasn't aired on the network or on the podcast, none of you have heard unless you had this special package that I'll tell you about more in a while on the power of enthusiasm and attitude to grow your wealth. Here we go.
My name is Phil R. Taylor, your grateful moderator and host. On this program, we'll be discovering and uncovering in great depth Napoleon Hill's lesson 8 entitled Enthusiasm. On this program, we have a power trio who really know and understand firsthand the power that comes with enthusiasm as outlined by Napoleon Hill. So before we enter this life-transforming session together, please allow me the great pleasure and honor of introducing our dynamic panel of guests. They are Ed Foreman, Jeffrey Gitomer, and Willie Jolley. Ed Foreman, well, following the Think and Grow Rich principles outlined by Napoleon Hill, a poor farm kid from New Mexico, Ed Foreman worked his way through engineering college. He made his fortune in the Texas oil fields, was elected to the U.S. Congress from 2 different states, Texas and New Mexico, and now travels throughout the world helping others put more life into their living and more life into their lives. Joining Ed Foreman on this program is the one and only Jeffrey Gitomer, who is the author of the New York Times bestseller, The Little Red Book of Selling. He is a creative, on-the-edge writer whose expertise on sales, customer loyalty, and personal development is world-renowned. He is a sought-out speaker who is known for his presentations, seminars, and keynote addresses that are funny, insightful, and in your face. Jeffrey points out that he owes his positive mental attitude to Napoleon Hill. During 1 year of daily 4-hour intensive sales and positive attitude training back in 1972, Jeffrey was fortunate enough to be exposed to Napoleon Hill's success principles. Each day, one of the 8 guys of his team had to give a book report on a chapter from Think and Grow Rich. Since there was only 15 chapters in the book, they reviewed it in its entirety every 3 weeks. They went through the book more than 15 times in 1 year, and they felt they had memorized it. Somewhere during that year, something clicked. Jeffrey realized that by adopting the fundamental principles of Hill's teaching and adapting them to his life and family, he could achieve and maintain a positive mental attitude. He became an achiever and a believer and has never lost that belief. And thirdly, and equally, joining us is the ever-exuberant and enthusiastic Willie Jolley, who has been called the most powerful speaker, singer, and author combination in the world today. He was named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world by Toastmasters International. Only 50 speakers worldwide have been given that honor, including Colin Powell, Nelson Mandela, and Margaret Thatcher. He's a leading expert on comebacks, attitude, and excellence, author of best-selling books, including It Only Takes a Minute to Change Your Life. A setback is a setup for a comeback, turns setbacks into greenbacks, and an attitude of excellence. He's heard several times a week on Sirius XM satellite radio with the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way show. In terms of the impact of Napoleon Hill on his life, Willie says it's huge. He admits that he was broke, a busted nightclub singer who had been fired from his nightclub job and replaced by a karaoke machine because the club owner said he would get a better return on his investment over time. Willie was devastated. He helped build the club into the #1 night spot in D.C. and yet still got fired. A friend recommended, Willie, read this book called Think and Grow Rich, and he went and got a copy. He read it and then reread it, and his thinking changed, and soon his life changed. 20 years later, the rest is history. Willie joyfully admits that he continues to reread it and continues to think and grow rich. So with that said, gentlemen, welcome to the lesson of enthusiasm. If there were 3 people in the world that really demonstrate the power of enthusiasm as described by Napoleon Hill, it's you 3. So this is very exciting. Napoleon Hill interviewed hundreds and hundreds of achievers. He discovered that those who were successful possess this quality called enthusiasm. To what extent has the principle of enthusiasm transformed your life, business, or career? And Ed, perhaps we can start with you because you have a tremendous story that relates to this lesson.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Enthusiasm is the single most important ingredient, I believe, to anyone's success. And for a kid from a farm in Portales, New Mexico, to be able to become financially independent by the time he's 28 years old, to be elected to the United States Congress, you got to have some kind of fuel in the tank to make it happen. And I was an avid reader and follower of Think and Grow Rich and of the principles that Napoleon Hill had put forth. And I think the best example of it is when I ran for the United States Congress. I was a Republican in a district in West Texas that had never heard of Republicans. In fact, I had 18 counties out there, 3 of which didn't even have one person that would publicly identify themselves as a Republican. And I was running against a 16-year incumbent Democrat congressman in a Democrat state. And so it was an uphill battle. I had to take the county clerk to court to get my name certified on the election ballot, because they said if my name wasn't on the primary ballot, they wouldn't put me on the general election ballot. And it's hard to win an election when your name's not on the ballot. But what I did, I believed in the principles for which I stood. And I talked to people about these principles with enthusiasm and vibrance and vitality. I was in and out of stores and on the farms and on and off the buses and talking to people with the vibrance and enthusiasm that caused me at the age of 28 years old to be elected to the United States Congress, and then became a member of the Armed Services Committee and went on to enjoy a lot of good things in life. And there's no doubt in my mind is that it was from an enthusiastic experience that I had in growing up with a wonderful mother who taught me the importance of putting some fire in your belly and some enthusiasm in your heart.
Fantastic. Jeffrey, would you like to add?
I think that the easiest thing to do for the people that are listening is to look at how Napoleon Hill actually thinks of enthusiasm. And I'm going to flip from Think and Grow Rich to probably the best book ever written on sales, called How to Sell Your Way Through Life, which Napoleon Hill wrote a year after he wrote Think and Grow Rich. Now, all of these things have been being written since about 1919, but they finally came out in book form in the late 30s. But he said, enthusiasm is a difficult thing to explain, but its presence is always easily recognized. Like, you'll define somebody that guy is so enthusiastic, but you can't say, well, enthusiasm is, it's that happy kind of go-lucky kind of, the guy, he's enthusiastic. Yeah, that's it. It's almost self-explanatory. And each person is going to define it in their own way and in their own mind. But the challenge for everybody is the basis is how you dedicate yourself to the way you think, your attitude, and then how you express yourself based on that attitude. I want to be happy all the time. When Willie Jolley and I greet each other, which is usually an annual event at the National Speakers Association, they're smiling, hugging, we're kibitzing about each other's ethnic backgrounds. There's all kinds of things that happen in that process, but enthusiasm and attitude are the foundation for it. And what I would ask the listener is, how are you thinking about the way you greet people? Is your handshake fishy? Is it firm? Is your smile permanent? Are you looking the other person right in the eye? And then what's the expression after that? If the expression is happy and forceful, then you've defined enthusiasm for yourself. You go, Willie.
Thank you, Jeffrey, and I think Jeffrey's right on. First of all, he said it so aptly, how a Jewish guy and a black guy can look at each other and greet each other like brothers. And so we jump in each other's arms and hug each other. And, I think it's important that we say that enthusiasm is an incredible gift. And Jeffrey always goes right to the core of things. He went right to what Napoleon Hill said about enthusiasm. From that book, and I've got another book called Napoleon Hill's Keys to Success, and in that he writes, enthusiasm bears the same relationship to your positive mental attitude and your progress towards success as gasoline to a car's engine. It is the fuel that drives things forward. Enthusiasm is power, and with faith it can transform adversity, failure, and temporary defeat into action. And the transmutation depends on your control of your thoughts, for they can just as easily be expressed negatively as positively. By controlling your enthusiasm, you can change any negative expression and experience into a positive one. The Greek definition of enthusiasm is the God within. And that is that God force within you that gives you an outer excitement and expression of expectation that good things are going to come your way. And if they don't come, the circumstances that you want, then you create the circumstances that you want. And that's where the enthusiasm about life is. It's the enthusiasm that says, or the mindset that says, even these setbacks are opportunities to come back. And I'm growing through them. It's the enthusiasm that takes your failures and turns them into into winning moments. Like Edison said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I learned 10,000 ways that didn't work on my way to creating the success. So I'm excited about this program, and I want to encourage the listener who's listening to this program, wherever it may be, to listen to this with a mindset, okay, how can I be more enthusiastic? Jeffrey said it so wonderfully. How do you greet people? How do you speak to yourself? And how do you speak to your future? Because when you start to speak to your future with high expectation, things change in your future. So I'm just honored to be on this program with Ed Foreman, one of my mentors, as well as one of my dear friends and my brother, Jeffrey Gitomer.
Wow, wow, wow. For those who are just joining us, this is a special program, a special edition of the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show, where I am presenting to you and exposing to you a interview that was done years ago that has never been on radio. It features me, Jeffrey Gitomer, the great sales guru, and the late, great Ed Foreman, who also was the founder of the Successful Life Seminar. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more from this incredible program. It's going to change your life. Pull out your pens and pencils, because this is going to be something that you want to capture, these ideas. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show, and for sure, the best is yet to come.
Pick up the phone and just...
Friendship is not about being convenient. It's about being committed and consistent.
You can call on me.
When you need me,
Call me. You can call on me.
call me.
You can call on me.
Pick up the phone
You can call
and call me. Hey, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and support for the Dr. Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show comes from Truist Bank. When you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Home ownership is a blessing. That's right, it's a blessing. And the ability to build equity, value in a home that you own can be the foundation of creating wealth. Wealth that can be passed on for generations. Truist believes that a path to home ownership exists for you. I hear people say, well, I don't see how I could ever own a home. Well, Truist can help you buy a home with a low down payment. Connect with a Truist teammate to learn about the options available to you. Reach them by calling 855-257-4040, 855-257-4040. They really care. You can also visit truist.com/homebuyer, truist.com/homebuyer to calculate your mortgage payment. That's truist.com/homebuyer. Truist Bank is an equal housing lender. Remember, visit truist.com/homebuyer or call 855-257-4040. And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show and podcast around the globe. This is an incredible opportunity for me to share something with you that has been on my heart. As we go into the 20th season of the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show, I wanted to give you this gift that I have had this audio in my closet, and I pulled it out and listened to it. I said, oh my gosh, I've got to share this with the listeners because it blessed me, and I figured it would bless you. So we're going to jump back into this audio, a recording that was made years ago featuring myself, Jeffrey Gitomer, the great sales guru, and the late great Ed Foreman on the power of enthusiasm to grow your health, your wealth, your success, and your future. Here we go with this great interview from Napoleon Hill's 17 Principles of Success program.
Everybody catches enthusiasm in their own way, and everyone realizes at some point what enthusiasm means to them and how pivotal it is in their life. I loaned one of my best friends, a guy named Duke Dalton, cassette tape number 4 from the Earl Nightingale series Direct Line. And on that tape, which is entitled Enthusiasm, he defines it, as Willie said, from the Greek word entheos, which means the God within. And this kid is driving from Hickory, North Carolina to Richmond, Virginia, and I get a phone call. He stopped on the side of the road, got into a phone booth, called me up on the phone, and screamed, "I got it! It's enthusiasm! That's the secret!" and hung up. And
you know, the interesting thing about it is that some people will say to me, well, I'm just not feeling very enthusiastic. I'm not feeling very happy today. And I'll say to them, well, if you want to feel better, what you got to do is act better. And people say, well, I'm not going to put on a false front and act like I'm happy and enthusiastic if I'm not sincerely happy and enthusiastic. And I say to them, I'd 10 to 1 rather have someone around me that was acting like they were happy and enthusiastic than a sincere sorehead anytime. So what you do is you do put a spring in your step.
Absolutely.
The person that you talk to is yourself. The most important person you talk to is yourself. How are you talking to yourself? I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm terrific, I feel great, I'm alive, I'm alert, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, I'm appreciative, I'm perky, I'm prepared, I'm prosperous. Or do you say, I don't know, I kind of got a stomachache today? Put those things out of your mind. I'm alive, I'm alert, I feel great. And people say, well, if you're not acting and you're not feeling, what can you do? You can start to thinking by what you read. Pick up a great book like the books that have already been mentioned. Pick up a good CD and start listening to it. Pick up a good instrumental music CD and start listening to it. You cannot listen to a good, upbeat instrumental piece of music and not begin to tap your feet or click your fingers. And so what happens as you begin to get that in as a part of you, you begin to think that way. And thoughts are connected to actions. Actions are connected to feelings. Feelings are connected all the way around, is inextricably tied together. So the easiest way I found to get into it, though, is to act. If you want to be confident, act confident. You want to be enthusiastic, act enthusiastic.
Ed, you are so right. One of the things I've been telling people for years is that sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. You know, now some people, you can't fake it, but I say you got to act your way into a new way of thinking so you can think your way into a new way of acting.
Absolutely.
And in that process, you change your future. You've got to act like you're somebody going somewhere to do something powerful and exciting in your life.
The first major bank loans that I ever got, I went into the bank. I didn't have a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out of, but I had a great idea. And I put that idea on paper, and I asked for $50,000. The banker read through it. He read through it carefully. And when he got through reading it, he said, this sounds plausible, but I didn't get to the $50,000 amount that I needed until the second page of the letter. And so before I went in, I was really feeling good that day. And I typed out 2 second pages. I had a $50,000 page and a $100,000 page. And so as I went in there, I thought, well, I'll kind of feel this banker out, and if he and I get on good rapport and we get to going pretty good, and he asks for the presentation, I will just give him the $100,000 page. And so I got to talking to him about it, and he said, do you have a written proposal on this? And I said, as a matter of fact, I do. And I reached in my little folder and pulled that out, and when I did, I pulled out that $100,000 page as the second page, and he read through it, and he got over the second page. He looked at me, and he said, and all you want is $100,000? And I said, that's all I want. He said, well, I don't see any reason why we can't work with you on this. See, people will believe in you as much as you believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, don't expect others to believe in you either.
When people like us get together and we start to talk about stuff, it usually ends up self-promotional, and personally, I cannot stand that. So in my book, the little gold book of Yes Attitude, which I think everyone should own and read immediately.
Do you have a book, Jeffrey?
This is what I wrote. A lot of people will say, I don't want to fake it until I make it. I don't want to act what I'm not feeling. I tell people to do this. Live it in advance. The more you think about who you want to become, and the more you think about what you'd really rather be, tell yourself, if I live this in advance, eventually it's going to happen. That's what happens with attitude, and that's what happens with enthusiasm. If you don't feel that way at this moment in time, at some point you will feel that way. Live it in advance. Don't fake it till you make it.
Mm-hmm. Love it. I love it. So I think it's important, folks who are listening to this, that you understand that this is a process where you can control it. Life is very challenging and difficult, and you have some setbacks, but you can start to turn them into comebacks by changing your mindset and looking at it, as Jeffrey said, living in advance the life you want to see and expect. And when you do that, things start to happen in your life because you're changing. And I think Jim Rohn said it, when you change, everything changes around you.
And Jeffrey, it's hard to explain anything to anybody as to how good it is if you ain't done it yourself. If you haven't been there, it's hard to tell somebody how to go there. So when Ed Foreman talks about enthusiasm, Ed Foreman talks about what enthusiasm has done for his life. When Willie Jolley talks about enthusiasm, Willie's going to talk about what it's done for his life, not for Jeffrey Gitomer's life.
I think that's the right thing to do. When you tell a story, it validates the process. When you tell your story, it actually makes people think of their story. When they used to be enthusiastic, or what times used to be, or when they hung out with their dad or mom, or something along those lines, and you live it in advance, but you can also relive it. You can
or if that guy did it, I can do it. I mean, if he can do it, anybody can do it.
And on that note, which is a very important note, we're going to color this with your live stories. And we'll start with you, Ed, because you have this terrific story of when you were in high school football. And I think that really exemplifies and paints the power of enthusiasm. And then, Willie, maybe we could go to you, and you can draw a live story, and then Jeffrey back to you. But, Ed, could you share that story? Because
I grew up on a farm in Portales, New Mexico, and I decided that farming was not going to be my future. We worked from one crop to the other just to get enough money to make the next crop. And so I decided I'd go to college. I'd learn to be an engineer. I'd build highways and roads, and I would live a life, and I would travel. I remember being out there in the farm and looking up at the sky, seeing those planes flying overhead. And I remember thinking to myself, someday I'm going to be on one of those planes, and I'm going to go to those far-off, beautiful places. And today, that's exactly what I do. I get on those planes, and I fly all around the world. I go to major resorts, and I enjoy those resorts. And then I come back, and I tell the people about them. But, I get paid to go to those resorts. And the reason I get paid to go to those resorts is because there's a lot of successful people meeting there, and they want to meet with somebody who can share something with them that will help them to be better. And so what happened on the farm, I decided that I would go to college. And I had no money. My folks had no money. They couldn't send me. I went out for football. And you're talking about that story of the football. I wasn't that big, and I wasn't that good. But I was filled with enthusiasm. I remember when we were out there, and we'd been through the two-a-day practices, and the quarterback club was there to select who they were going to give college scholarships to. And I remember playing linebacker that day, and I said, sit around this way, sit around, heads off, and nobody wanted to come my way. And pretty soon, I saw a play developing. A guard was coming at me, and a halfback had pulled, and they were double-teaming me, and the quarterback had handed off to the fullback, and he was right behind, and I just went into him with all my enthusiasm. Well, the halfback kind of chickened out and went to the side. I went right by that guard, and I hit that fullback right head on, and bam, he went down. I went down, it jarred it, but just jarred the mud off the bottom of my cleats. I jumped up and said, send me an oven, I'll tear their heads off. And I heard one of those quarterback club members up there said, give that old boy a scholarship. He is indefeatable. And it wasn't that I was that good. They thought I was that good. And the fascinating thing about it, I became better. And the same thing happened whenever I graduated from college. I wasn't a petroleum engineer, but Phillips Petroleum Company came in and they were interviewing. And I'd seen the movie The Giant, where a poor kid had grown to opulence and wealth in the oil fields. And so I went and interviewed to be trained by Phillips Petroleum Company. And because of my enthusiasm, they hired me, and I learned about the oil field, and I went into the oil field, and I got into the oil business, and I made a lot of money in a hurry. I made so much money so fast that the Internal Revenue Service came in for a year. I furnished an office and a secretary for them to investigate me to say anyone as young as I was could make so much money so fast and do it honestly. And I became concerned about the size and power and control of the federal government and decided I'd run for Congress and go to Washington to change it. And I found it took a whole lot more than 1 out of 435 to change it. But it was a fascinating experience. I went to Congress, and it was an exciting experience for me. And then after I left Congress, I built businesses, and I have businesses today. But the thing that I enjoy most is to watch people grow growing people is more important to me than anything else. And I travel throughout the world today talking to young people, whether it's on college campuses or whether it's talking to young salespeople or whether it's talking to business people or anywhere else. And I tell them that enthusiasm can remake your life. If you really believe in yourself, if you believe in what you're doing, what happens is you can succeed because there's no power that will stop it. You've got to have that faith. You've got to have that belief in yourself. You've got to have that belief in God. And whenever that happens, you're going to be a winner.
I love it. This is Willie Jolley, and I just want to say I concur with Ed about the enthusiasm and how that entheos can change your future.
This is a special edition of the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show with this archival masterpiece. We'll be right back after station identification. Stay tuned. Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I got an email from a gentleman in Australia who shared how he had been struggling in his business, and he bought some of my books and audios, and how it had a profound impact on his business, and he went from worst to first in his company. I shared with him how much I appreciated his note, but I told him those books, those audios, those videos were not just something that I just thought up one day and started to write. They were born out of my experiences, out of the challenges of overcoming the problems and the difficulties and how I was able to do it. And I shared with him that others have sent similar messages and that these resources work. I want to encourage you and invite you to go to my store. Go to wjspeaks.com/shop. wjspeaks.com/shop. Get some of the books. It only takes a minute to change your life. Or a setback is a setup for a comeback. Or turn setbacks into greenbacks. Or chicken soup for the soul. Or an attitude of excellence. Or the book I wrote with my wife after 34 years of being married and not having an argument in over 30 years. We wrote a book called Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. And now it is saving marriages all over the globe. Go to the store. Get some of the audios, the videos, the books, the resources to help you have greater personal and professional success. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Make this a great day on purpose. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show and podcast from around the country and around the world. I want to say welcome again to all of you who are listening, whether you're listening on the network or whether you're listening on the podcast or whether you're listening in some other form. We are so glad that you are listening. This is an incredible, awesome interview that I was a part of that was recorded years ago for the Napoleon Hill 17 Principles of Success that was created by a guy named Phil Taylor. And it is 17 CDs of the 17 principles out of the 17 Principles of Success book. Each CD has 3 global thought leaders who talk about that principle. It is an incredible program. And if you're interested in learning more about how you can get the full program, you have to send me an email at info@williejolly.com. Info, I-N-F-O, at Willie Jolley, WILLIEJOLLEY.com. And then I can let you know about how to purchase it. It's a classic, and there are few in circulation nowadays. So I'd have to make sure we can get you one. But if you're interested, just info@williejolly.com. Let's get back to this incredible interview, which features me, Jeffrey Gitomer, the incredible, wonderful global sales guru, and then the late, great Ed Foreman, who was a congressman from 2 states, made history as that, but then started this historic, iconic company called the Successful Life Seminar Program and Company, and made millions with that. Here we go, this interview that you're going to love.
My story is a simple story. I was a nightclub singer, singing in dark, dank, smoke-filled nightclubs, doing well, though. Won the award, Best Jazz Singer, Best Entertainer, Best Performer. Things were going great. We had standing room only audiences. People would line up at 7 o'clock for the 8 o'clock show, 9 o'clock for the 10 o'clock show. I had a band, and we were number one in the city. One night I came in, the club owner said, I want to talk to you after tonight's show. I said, great. I told the guys in the band they want to talk. We're going to finally get our raise. I walked in his office. He said, we made a change. We love your band, but we found out it's cheaper with a machine that's going around the country called a karaoke machine. It's cheaper than a band, and we've decided to cut our costs, get a better return on investment, and so we're going to let you guys go. And I was devastated. I'd worked so hard to get the club to be number one. I'd sent out my own mailing list. I'd done interviews. I did everything I could to build that club into number one, and I had built it, and it was still a situation where I got fired. Someone told me to get this book called Think and Grow Rich. I went and got the book, and I read the book, and then I reread it, and then I reread it. They reread it and started writing in the margin and taking in the information and started to change my thinking. And I said, well, maybe I can do something else with my life beyond just being a nightclub singer. And I took a job with the Washington, D.C. public school system as a drug prevention coordinator, talking to little kids about staying away from drugs and violence. And it was during that year, because of that enthusiasm and that new thinking, that more and more teachers and schools would say, can you come to my school? Can you come to my teachers association? And that led to me being invited to some of their churches, and people in their congregation would come up and say, can you come to my company? I work for this company, this agency, that organization. And it continued to grow. And then Les Brown, the great motivational speaker, heard about this guy who mixed music, motivation, and enthusiasm and put it into a package. And from there, he invited me to be on tour with him and Gladys Knight called the Music and Motivation Tour, which introduced me to the corporate market. And I got a little radio show. And a little radio show was a 1-minute motivational, enthusiastic message every day. It started here in Washington, D.C., and then it caught on from a little AM station. It got picked up by the biggest FM station, and it's been on there for 10 years and more than that now. And then it went from there to Sirius XM, and I'm on Sirius XM channel 141 with my Wealthy Ways show every week, and led to television, PBS, and CBS, and now cable networks. And one day a book publisher heard about me on the radio and invited me to write a book. And I wrote a little book called It Only Takes a Minute to Change Your Life. It became a bestseller. Then Setback and Set Up for a Comeback became a bestseller. Then other books, Chicken Soup for the Soul, and Turned Setbacks into Greenbacks, and Attitude of Excellence. And all of that happened because I got fired and replaced by a karaoke machine, but someone gave me a tool, a resource that could change my thinking. Think and Grow Rich changed my thinking. And if you change your thinking, you'll change your actions. You change your actions, you'll change your results. So
hallelujah and amen.
I'm excited about the fact that there's enthusiasm that comes through the line today. I'm pumped up. I'm taking notes because you've got great thinkers who are just sharing. I'm just honored to be one of the group to just be here, but I'm growing as I'm going through this process. And I encourage everybody who's listening to this audio, wherever you may be, that you not just listen, but you take little notes. There are pearls being dropped, how Ed just dropped a pearl, and Jeffrey drops pearls. Take the pearls and make them into products that will change your life.
The great Deion Sanders said, if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. And if you play good, they pay good.
I like
and
that.
I think that is a great definition for enthusiasm, because whenever you see that guy, I don't know who the guy that whitens his teeth are, but they're absolutely unbelievable. Whatever you feel about the guy, you can never say he's not enthusiastic about every single thing that he does. That's number one. Number two, I cold called in New York City for 3 years as a salesperson. I would cold call people, and they would come to the door and slam the door in my face and say, I have no time for you. Boom. And I would, because I'm enthusiastic and I decided I wanted to have fun at this, I would knock on the door again and say through the door, did you mean no time today? Can I come back tomorrow? And people would actually come to the door smiling because I had beat them at their game. Now, that was only a third of the people. The other two-thirds, unfortunately, delivered expletives that I'd never heard before. But the bottom line was, I was determined that in my cold calling days, I was going to have a good time at it. And I don't think enough people who are listening to this feel like they're allowed to have a good time. They're either stuck in some politically correct thing or feel like they got to act professionally. I don't want a professional person. I want a friendly person. And I want somebody who is open and approachable enough and enthusiastic enough to be able to create some kind of connection. I don't think you create connection through professionalism. I think you create it through fun and friendliness.
So are we saying that enthusiasm is really just a byproduct of a greater thing, such as a positive mental attitude and applied faith?
If you have the attitude and you have the applied faith, then enthusiasm is the actual expression of it or the way people view it.
Yes.
I agree.
You mentioned Les Brown a while ago, Willie. 30 years ago, Les Brown came on a Greyhound bus from Atlanta, Georgia, to attend our 3-day successful life course program being sent by one of our clients down in Atlanta. And after that class, Les said to me, he said, "What are you going to do this week?" And I said, "Well, I've got some presentations to make in the Dallas area and other areas." And he says, "Can I go with you?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I guess so." You know, it was kind of an unusual request. And I remember particularly the next day, I was speaking to a travel host editors meeting where they had all their editors in from around the country in Dallas, and I had a 3-hour session with them. And so Les went out there with me to speak to them, and I opened up with my opening on attitude and how you get a good, wholesome, positive mental attitude, and the importance of how you talk to yourself and so forth. And then we had a break at about 1 hour and 15 minutes, and during the break, Les said, "Why don't you let me handle the next session?" I said, "Do what?" He said, "Why don't you let me handle the next session?" I said, "What are you going to do?" And he said, "Well, I'll follow along with what you've been talking about, what we talked about in the class." And Les got up there, and you're absolutely correct. See, you don't have to be a college graduate. You don't have to be a graduate of Ministerial Alliance to be able to be enthusiastic. And Les got up there and he talked to him about his life and about things that he was doing and what he believed in, and he was so sincere and so real that he caught fire. And he has continued to do that in his life. And he told him the story about when he was that little boy working in the radio station. That's what it's about. It's not so much about education. I think it's about a sincere, down, deep belief, like as we said a while ago, entheos, God within. And as I look at some of the professional teams today, our own Dallas Cowboys football team and other teams, when you carouse and you drink and you do those things that are personally detrimental to the human psychic, you're never going to be a winner. It's just like Jeffrey said in quoting Dion a while ago, a winner is a winner from the inside out and the outside in. It's not just a facade. Enthusiasm is not just a facade. It's something that you are. It represents a realness, and that's what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that sports team and sports players personify and are made examples of for what they do detrimental to their own performance. I have always referred to it as false courage. Like they go out and they have this party and they think they're the greatest guy in the world, but meanwhile they look like a schnook and they end up playing poorly and then being paid poorly. And they know better. Any person who gets a DUI is a moron. It's not drunk under the influence or driving under the influence. It's dumb under the influence. And you look at yourself and you go, for $50, why didn't I take a cab? I'm a millionaire. Why didn't I have a driver? I'm a millionaire. You know, you need 15 minutes of fame, but that's a bad 15 minutes. And what happens is you spoil it for yourself, and that dampens your own enthusiasm. When you do something that's detrimental to yourself, it takes you a long time to recover from it. That's the deal.
This is a special edition of the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show featuring global thought leaders. I'm just honored that they invited me to be in the party. Jeffrey Gitomer, who you just heard him talking about enthusiasm, Ed Foreman, the late great Ed Foreman, and it is taken from the Napoleon Hill 17 Principles of Success program. It's 17 CDs with 3 thought leaders on each CD. That's 53 thought leaders. It's incredible. Again, if you are interested in getting that program, you can send an email to info@williejolly.com. info@willie, WILLIE, Jolly, JOLLEY.com. Now, we're going to come back with more, but before I go any further, I want to take a moment just to say thank you again to our sponsor, Truist Bank, for being so committed and just so awesome to work with. They are incredible. And if you want to get a low down payment loan on a home, or you want to learn more about financial literacy, go to truist.com, TRUIST.com. When you start with care, you build a different kind of bank. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show. And for sure, the best is yet to come.
Afraid of flying, I always kept my dreams on the ground. Life had enough ups and downs, but Lord, since I met you, all that's changed in the blink of an eye. Now all my heart wants to do is fly. You put wings on my dreams and overcame my fear of heights. Now how high will I fly? If I dare to touch the sky, oh, I'm flying. The eagles only wish they could soar. I'm flying 'cause I put my faith and trust in your love. Trust in you, Lord.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and people often ask, how did I go from a broke, busted nightclub singer to become a best-selling author and to be voted one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world by the 175,000 members of Toastmasters International? The answer is that I decided to invest and change my thinking, invest in my mindset, and decided to change my inputs because inputs determine outputs. I heard about a seminar years ago when I was just getting started. I was making about $100 a speech. And I heard this seminar that was creating millionaires, and it cost $10,000, but the guy was getting results. I didn't have that kind of money, but I decided to borrow it because I learned that there's a price for success, the price of college, the price of going to school, the price of education. And there's a price for success, and then there's a cost for not paying the price, the cost of staying the same. And that cost is greater than the price. It's too expensive. And so I went, and it changed my life. And I came back and quickly made $100,000. I heard a similar story from Dr. Dave Martin, how he went to a success rally, heard a speaker who inspired him. He and his friends said, wow, that's changed my life. The speaker had a package of materials to help build wealth. The package cost $1,500. And that was all the money Dr. Dave had to his name. Dr. Dave's friend asked, do you think this stuff is worth it? Dr. Dave thought for a moment. He said, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. But I do know that I'm worth it. I'm worth it. He invested that money in that package and used the materials to grow his thinking. He grew his mindset. He shared how that $1,500 investment has gone on to generate millions in revenues. He's a multimillionaire. And he has homes now in Arizona and Florida. I want to say to you, it's time to invest in you. I want to give you some materials that will help you, grow your mindset, grow your future, grow your finances. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire. wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get some materials that will inspire your success and will help you find that there's a price for success, but there's a cost for not paying the price. And the cost is always greater than the price. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire and get the bag, the box, or any of the materials there and keep growing your wealth. And remember, as a man thinketh, so as he is, and your best is yet to come. back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast with this awesome, incredible interview that was in my closet, and I found it. And I said, got to share it with my audience. So we're going to jump back into this interview with Jeffrey Gitomer, with Ed Foreman, and with me, rounding out the trio on the power of enthusiasm to transform your life and your finances and your future. Let's get it on. Let's get back into this great interview.
One of the things that we teach is a daily menu. The daily menu is how you nourish yourself. The very first thing when you get up in the morning, you're at the alpha level of your subconscious mind, which is the most important time of your day. Now, if you turn on the radio or you start listening to a newscast, you're filling your mind full of slop. But if you listen to a good positive message CD, or you read a good book like Think and Grow Rich or Napoleon Hill's Keys to Success, you are nourishing your mind at the subconscious level with good growing material. If you pick up the Bible and you read a scripture out of it, what you're doing is you're planting inside of you the gasoline to fire the engine to give you the power to perform during the day. So it's what's on the inside that counts. Once you get that mind loaded, then exercise that body. Go out there and make that heart strong. Make those muscles strong by a good walk. And give thanks to God for the many wonderful blessings you have to be thankful for. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for eyes to see the beauty, ears to hear the sounds. Fill yourself with the day. And when you fill yourself with life, life is going to fill you up.
I love it.
When you put down the Bible, pick up the sales Bible.
You look at great teams. When a player comes in with enthusiasm and with character, the two of them mixed together, you start to see the team be transformed. Michael Jordan, he raised the level of his teammates by enthusiasm. And if you're enthusiastic, you're really excited. Yeah, I'm excited just listening to Ed. I'm taking notes, listening to Jeffrey. I'm taking notes while I'm on the interview. I've learned that over the years in my radio show, that when I got a great guest, I'm taking notes just as I hope the listener is taking notes, and I am empowered by it. And so I'm encouraging everybody who's listening to this message today that this is not just us spouting off great ideas. These are pearls that you can use, that you can start to change your life. And enthusiasm, as was said so wonderfully earlier, a winner is a winner from the inside out. And so when you decide to change your inside, you start to change your thinking, you start to read the positive books. Ed is so right. Start your day off with the pure, the powerful, and the positive. Read or listen to something powerful in the first 20 minutes of your day. Go to each one of our websites. We all got free stuff there to try and encourage you, because we know how important it is and how it changed our lives to get positive information, how it changed our lives to think new thoughts, and how to start to be around people. Who you hang around with? You want to hang around with people who are going places, doing things that are encouraging. And when you do that, your life starts to change. So be enthusiastic and realize it's infectious. It will change your life.
I would like to throw in two things. When you wake up in the morning and you go in the bathroom, you're alone with the most important person in the world, and you have to look in the mirror to determine what's happening. You also determine how you're going to face your day by facing yourself. And you put yourself either in a good mood or a bad mood, but it's a choice. You can put yourself in a great mood by just looking in the bathroom mirror, winking a couple of times, and go, hey, look at that over there, look at that. And then you leave the bathroom and you talk to people who you love. You're talking to your spouse, you're talking to your children, you're talking to other people in your family, and the way you begin talking to them sets the tone for your entire day. And yes, there needs to be diversion away from television, and yes, there needs to be positive things read on a daily basis, but you basically start it yourself. You look in the mirror, you talk to other people. That's the first thing you do in the morning, and the way you do that is going to determine how you spend the rest of your day or how you invest the rest of your day.
I agree with you on doing that. The thing about it is a lot of people are like sailboats, though, and they put up their sail, and the first person they run into may be grouchy. The first person that they run into is feeling bad, and so what they let that bad wind blow them the wrong direction, and that's why we say you got to fill your own sails first, and that's why I tell people at the very moment you get up, I don't care if you get that book upside down, start reading out of a book. Awaken to a CD. Start feeding that subconscious mind immediately by what you read, what you listen to, and the kind of people you associate with. The interesting thing about it is we must be ever mindful and careful. No matter what lovely a spouse we may have or a partner or children we may have, some of them are going to be not feeling good today, and so it's up to us to be that generator of that power, and the way we do it is by what we put in our own tank, and what we put in our own tank is what we read, what we listen to, and the kind of people we associate with.
I'm going to jump right on the coattails of Ed and Jeffrey. One is wake up in the morning, and you have two choices how you wake up in the morning. You can say, good Lord, it's morning, or you can say, good morning, Lord. First of all, I get up every morning and say, good morning, Lord, you gave me another day. Thank you. I have an attitude of gratitude. That helps to jumpstart my enthusiasm. I go in the bathroom, just like Jeffrey said, I look at myself and say, man, I don't care what challenge we face today, we're going to hit it hard, and we're going all out. And here's something I learned to do years ago. I say good morning to the first 10 people I see every day. I walk into 7-Eleven, get my coffee, say, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Everybody say, good morning, on my way to the gym. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I say to 10 people. Now, many of those people will not say a word back, or they'll grunt back, or they'll mumble back, or no, it's good about it. I still say it, and every time I say it a little more forcefully, a little more excitedly, good morning, good. By the time I got to 10, I'm almost hollering it. Notice I said, some people don't say anything back. That's okay, because I'm not saying it for them. I'm saying it for me. And so I say it 10 times, and by the time I've heard it 10 times, I've heard 10 times in my day, in my ear, it's a good morning. If I have a mindset it's good morning, then I'm going to work toward that goal. And then I had a good morning, I'm on my way to a good afternoon. Have a good afternoon and a good morning, good afternoon, I'm on my way to a good evening. Had a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and I do that every day for 7 days. I've had a good week. I do that 4 more times, I've had a good month. And I do it 12 times, I had a good year. And it started with just good morning, Lord, and then saying good morning to others.
Absolutely. One of the lessons that I shared there a while ago that's so important is that feeding your mind the very first thing when we're waking in the morning. Another great lesson, and it's a very simple lesson, is never, ever, ever say to anybody, your spouse, your child, your friend, anybody on the street, how are you? Get rid of the question, how are you, or how you doing? Because 6 times out of 10, they're going to tell you how bad they're doing, how bad they feel, and when they tell you how bad they feel, when they tell you how bad things are going, what's going to do, it's going to reinforce those bad feelings within them, and it's going to have a tendency to pull you down a little. So what you do is you greet everybody with a positive or a general statement. You say, well, good morning, Willie. What a smile you have on your face, and it's good to see you today. And Willie says, well, thank you. I'm feeling good today. You look at Jeffrey, and if Jeffrey's not looking very good, don't lie to Jeffrey and tell him how good he looks. You look at Jeffrey, you see the boy may not be feeling real good. You say, oh, man, what a beautiful morning this morning. You know, we needed this rain. And what you do is you start off with a positive personal or a positive general statement. And you go right on, and you don't participate in those worry conversations and gossip sessions. You just change the subject. You move right on. And that is where you take forceful leadership control on a positive basis.
Just to clarify, I'm always looking good. I just want to make sure.
I concur with that, Jeffrey. You always look good, buddy.
Here's the deal. Every single one of us right now talking to you practice enthusiasm and attitude every day, and we've been doing it for decades. So it's not like you feel good one day and you don't feel good the next day. You got to feel good every day. And you do that by committing yourself to whatever ritual makes you feel good and whatever reading makes you think good and whoever you interact with make you look good and feel good. The challenge is not that you do it once and you learn it and that's it. You got to do it every day or it's not going to work.
That's right.
Exactly. If you don't exercise a little bit every day, you get weak. If you don't eat a little bit every day, you get hungry. If you don't wash every day, you start stinking. If you don't wash your mind with good, wholesome, positive thoughts, your thinking starts stinking. And so what you got to do is you got to wash that out. And we're inundated by the newspaper and the television and the radio and by games. Children play games. What happened to the old games of Monopoly and the things that we used to play when you and I were growing up, you know? Let's have games of success. Let's have games of happiness. Let's have games of joy and read good books, listen to upbeat music, and listen to good CDs, and particularly get Jeffrey's books and listen to Willie on the radio. If you're going to listen to the radio, Willie's got a great program every single day.
Wonderful. And I think that you've touched on several keys to success. I just love the notion of gratitude that evokes that enthusiasm that you spoke about. Willie, you pointed out praising God starts you off on a great day. And Jeffrey, your humor, I mean, that ignites enthusiasm in so many ways, doesn't it?
It is the basis of all connection. You can engage with somebody, but to really connect with them, you got to make them laugh.
Yes, laughter certainly is a doorway to that. If there was one takeaway from our audio discussion together, what would that be? And with that, can you give our listeners your website and where we can find you in terms to learn more about your products and your services? And why don't we start off with you, Jeffrey?
If you want more of me, you can go to Gitomer.com, Gitomer.com. I'm going to reiterate one thing that I think is most important because I do it myself. Every morning I wake up and I go in the bathroom and I look in the mirror and I'm seeing the coolest person I know. And I'm smiling and winking and I can't wait to start my day. And if you all do the same, I promise you success will follow.
Well, folks, we got to end there because we've run out of time. But I want to encourage you to listen to this over and over again, whether on the radio or on the podcast, and then take notes and use this information. Remember to go to winwithwillie.com, winwithwillie.com for resources to help you win more. And then join us every Monday night at 9 o'clock Eastern for the Jolly Marriage Show on A Jolly Marriage on Facebook, A Jolly Marriage on Instagram, and Willie Jolley LinkedIn Live. And last but not least, remember for sure, your best is yet to come. Have a great week on purpose. God bless you. And remember, I love you much, and I appreciate you. God bless you.
Are you tired of crying and complaining? Tired of feeling like life don't treat you fair? Do you see so many others?
Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode, and I hope you got something of great value. And I hope that you were inspired, you were motivated, you were empowered, and you were encouraged to live your best life. I hope this information and this inspiration will help you to do more, be more, and to achieve more. That's the goal why I started this program, and I hope it helped you in a mighty way. Now, I ask you to make sure and that you take full advantage of all the resources that came through this program. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/gift and get some of the free resources that we have there for you. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/shop to get some of the books that we have created, that we've labored over to make sure that they will deliver a powerful message to you. I hope you go to williejolly.com/billionaire. williejolly.com/billionaire or wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get the box that it will inspire your whole family, or get the bag of books. Make this a great day, a great week, a great month, and remember, it is true that you are blessed and all things are possible for them that believe. So make the most of the belief that you have now in your future. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Have a great day.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.